295 days. That is how many days it has been since the start of the first day of the RLCS X season. 342 days will be how many days it'll be since the start of the season once we get into the RLCS X Championship. So, yeah, there's been a whole lot of Rocket League going on, and we are officially done with the regular season. What's up, everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. This past weekend, the official end of the regular season has come to an end with the North American Major for the spring split. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the results of that, as well as showing the championship bracket for both North America and Europe in today's video. So a couple different things we got to cover, but primarily it's been, like I said, 295 days, now 296 when you guys are watching this video, since the start of the season. Started on August 1st of 2020, and we're all the way into May, almost June of 2021. No land since December of 2019. And I put out a tweet in regards to this, basically talking about, like, you know, what this season could have been. And although I know some of the future plans of what Psyonix is planning and what they're looking to do, I honestly, it's crazy to look back just at the sheer amount of matches that have been played, the amount of roster changes, the amount of players, like, everything that's really gone into it is pretty crazy. The fact that it is kind of coming to this culmination, and my feeling of it doesn't really feel the same, because this is the first season with a circuit-based format, and it doesn't feel all that different because it's been a lot of the same, which is really unfortunate. So this season, I think, really would have pushed Rocket League to that next level, and it stinks that we've been basically put on a hold until we get to that moment. So with that said, enough of the reminiscent or the desires. Let's get into the actual results of the RLCS Major this past weekend. Up first, we've got our group stage. We got Group A and B: Rogue, Shopify, Rebellion, Envy, Sonics, and Xset. And then on the other side, G2, the General, NRG, FaZe Clan, Space Station Gaming, and V1. Couple things to note. V1 did end up playing with Com. His graduation was later in the day, so he was able to play in all the matches. Space Station did not play with Reddles. He was suspended. Obviously, as you guys know, if you haven't seen that video, it is somewhere over here, probably listed down below. So they ended up playing with their sub Sathu. And other than that, things as normal. If you look at the results, pretty much as expected. Envy, I think, did underperform a little bit in groups. That also carries through, and we'll get into there in the bracket as well. But otherwise, teams getting eliminated as expected. The thing that's more expected than anything else is V1 going to Game 5. And if you look at the results, they do that. Game 5 against Space Station where they lose. Game 5 against FaZe where they lose. Game 5 against NRG where they lose. The only team they don't go to Game 5 with is G2, who has a almost perfect group stage. They only dropped 3 total games, where they ended up losing to NRG 3-1. Otherwise, everything pretty much, like I said, as expected. I expected some sort of fight a little bit more from both G2 FaZe and Shopify Rebellion, as those were the 3 teams that were fighting for the championship spots, which we'll talk about at the end of the video. They obviously had a lot more to play for than anybody else, so that does make a difference. Pretty much the scenarios where G2, FaZe, and Shopify Rebellion trying to get as far in the bracket as possible. Whoever did the worst was the team that didn't qualify for the championship. And then for other teams, you're basically trying to make sure that if you are in the top 6, trying to avoid powerhouse teams. 5-6 play each other, and 3-4 play each other in the page playoff format, which I'll talk to you again at the end of the video. But these are the results top to bottom, as you can see. And ultimately, like I said, as expected, you would like to see V1 finally close out some Game 5s, but we know that's just not usually how it goes. So let's take a look quickly at the playoff bracket and kind of go into some long form of this. First up, Rogue versus Space Station. Space Station does start off strong. Reddles has some tweets about how, if anything, all this does is like motivate me, that I'm going to work harder than all of you. And out of the gate, Reddles, I think, is the only one that scored in those 2 games. He's the one that got the 2 goals in Game 1, and then Rogue and Spaceman sweep fashion decide to win the next 4. 1 overtime in there, only 26 seconds, but Rogue's offense really started to click, and Space Station just really couldn't get anything going on offense. Rogue, obviously a team that is pretty much, to me, a more consistent version of what Space Station is building towards at times. Rogue seems to have this really flashy, aggressive playstyle, but then Space Station does it in a more controlled way. And when Space Station's on point and the control is going well, they're almost unbeatable. The difficulty, and I made this conversation happen in my previous video when I talk about predictions and the power rankings, The difference between flashy, aggressive, and this new version of Rocket League, or this new meta that people are boasting about, versus someone like NRG that plays a little bit more controlled and makes you work for it and focuses more on boost denying and playing a controlled game, not challenging everything, even though people want to say that your average speed is what determines how fast you are as a team. Being a fast team to me is more so about being in the right position and making the right challenges and making the right decision as quickly as possible, which NRG is excellent at and has been part of the reason why they are the #1 team in North America, in my opinion, overall. Although I say that, and I do think Envy does have the potential to be the best team on the World Championship side. Unfortunately, they don't show that this weekend. As we look at the NRG and Envy series, it looks like a 4-0. It is a 4-0, but it doesn't tell the story. Envy is only held to 1 goal. That stat, I do agree, is a really big deal. But every game but game 4 is a 1-goal differential. Envy made this series very close. It was not as one-sided as it seems to be. The credit is to Justin. Obviously, he's been working a lot on the mentality and trying to figure out what to do. Johnny Boy even tweeted and kind of joked about it. It's like, yo, Justin has his lights on. Everybody else is pretty much screwed. And it definitely felt like a different vibe for NRG this weekend. A little bit more upbeat and having a good time, and conversation seemed to be flowing, people smiling and stuff. And I think that mental change obviously really showcased. And while everybody wants to talk about Justin and his mechanics on offense, which there were plenty of, it was actually his defense that really stood out to me. So really well done by NRG. Just being able to shut out Envy is pretty amazing, if I'm being completely honest. So to almost have a perfect sweep, let alone hold up to 1 goal, is quite impressive, and set a precedent for the rest of the weekend. Up next was G2 Sonics. This one, everybody kind of went in with G2 having an incredible day in groups in day 1. Expected that to be more of the same. But Sonics came out with a little bit of a fight. It was Roldiz who shot the first shot. I think it was like top right. It was pretty nice placement. And then from there, it was just kind of a back and forth until G2 finally settled in. A lot of us were wondering when Chicago was really going to step up. And you got that in G2's victories, where once they started to snowball, they even have a Brazil in game 4, 7-1, 3-1, 4-3. And Sonics does try to make those adjustments, but G2's clicking way too much. Still some issues with Dreez's hesitation. As the third man, sometimes he is a little bit too hesitant, or he's too aggressive. I see a lot of similarities in him compared to Justin way back. If you look at like season 6 World Championships and 7, there's times when Justin feels like he has to do more than he should. And over the years has developed understanding of when and when not to challenge as the third man, when to fake challenge, or when to just sit back and watch the play develop and be in a good position. Things that take years of experience to pull yourself out of that tunnel vision moment and look at the big picture of the match and then make those decisions. So I see a lot of that in Dreez. Early moments of Justin and using that mechanical talent to really set up opportunities, but needs to transition that as well into using those mechanics and that game sense or that game IQ to create opportunities and bail people out of trouble when he needs to as well. If I was Dreez, I would look a lot at Justin's playstyle as of late and take it to heart, because it would make him such an incredible player. Not saying he's not already, obviously doing really good things for G2, but still challenging when he shouldn't on a couple things. And that's easily cleaned up if he starts to recognize it. And I'm sure Jazzo is too. Last but not least, we've got FaZe Clan Shopify Rebellion. This is the match of the weekend. Talking about those playoff scenarios, it is between G2, Shopify Rebellion, and FaZe Clan to make it. Because G2 has a leg up in the standings already at the number 5 spot, they've already solidified their place in the standings. So they don't have to worry about it because they made it in the quarterfinals. Those points neutralize. They're good. They're in. So the G2 Sonic series literally meant nothing. There was no point to it. G2 is already qualified. They're fine. It's more of a pride thing of them trying to make it to their first grand finals. Shopify Rebellion and FaZe Clan, on the other hand, are very close in the standings and points. And whoever won this series was guaranteed into the top 6. And that's the kind of match we got. For the first time in a long time, we finally got a series with significant meaning behind it, other than there's a lot of money on the line. This series was the qualifying game. This was the one that would have technically put one of these teams to the World Championship. And I talked about this a lot on stream. If you guys don't, twitch.tv/Lawler. We actually streamed from my couch this whole weekend, where we just laid on the couch, hung out, and had like a true watch party. The entire time during this series, I talked about how these major events technically shouldn't be in a regional. They should be world events, international events, where teams from all over the world come and compete, and those points get allocated to different regions based upon results of who shows up. And that makes a huge difference in qualifying for the World Championship. I can't imagine if 2 teams like NRG or G2 or FaZe or whoever else is in this list has to perform well in an international major, and without a good performance can't bump out another team. Like, that kind of stuff is what I've been desperately missing for this season, and it's all I could think about while these two battled. So I got a little bit of that feeling, but knowing it could be that much better makes me really excited for when LANs do come back in hopefully a circuit-based format. Although things might possibly change. I've got an interesting video coming out here in the future about what might happen, or a prediction I have. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on it. But the Shopify Rebellion and FaZe Clan match was everything you wanted. Back and forth, bunch of overtimes, a lot of high-scoring games. FaZe 1-2, then Shopify 1-3, which puts Shopify Rebellion at match point. FaZe is on their back foot. The game 6 match where they had a 1-goal lead, I think there was still like 2 or 3 minutes left. Excellent play from them. The ability to slow it down, take their space. I talk about what Energy does so well about being in the right position and not forcing things. FaZe does that to perfection to close out that game. The very end, if you want to go back and watch at a specific moment and hear what I'm talking about, go watch game 6 of the FaZe Shopify Rebellion match. Watch what FaZe does when they control possession on offense and how they find a way to just completely suffocate Shopify Rebellion by dominating boost and just making clean rotations and denying clears, and what that really does to a team's defense. Even though they don't get a goal, they're talking like a minute or two before that, they're under pressure on defense, and that's the difference maker between them losing and winning, because Shopify Rebellion's putting a lot of shots on. It was just game 6 in that series is absolutely incredible. The fact that there's only 1 goal just baffles me. So really exciting stuff in that. And then it goes into the last and final game. Unfortunate situation for Memory in the very end, but does allow FaZe to win 3-1. They do end up qualifying for the championship. A wonderful and wholesome interview with Gyro after that match concludes. And then we get into the semifinals. Starts with Energy and Rogue. This is a very high intensity match. Rogue obviously coming out of the gate swinging. But this series, the game 1 was the only reason why Rogue won. It was 1-1. And then in the last like 20 seconds or so, Garrett goes to make a save near post, misses. He gets punished. Second game, same exact thing happens. They go to make a play. Someone on the defensive side makes a mistake. They score in the last few seconds. It's another goal. And that's kind of this match summarized. It is a trading between both teams to see who's going to make that big mistake. While Rogue goes for flashy with some spice, Energy plays controlled and methodical boost control. And these playstyles still clashing and meshing leads to very low scoring games and really close games that come down to a mistake, which is really exciting. I will say that Energy and Rogue both in perfect moments, particularly one comes to mind with Turinturo. They're being pressured on defense. Turinturo is the last one to grab the 100 boost pad that's now in a 10-second rotation while Energy's denying the other ones. Pre-jumps, makes a great clear, and it starts to go the other way. And then obviously in the midfield, Garrett does the exact same thing. He recognizes that I have to put this back on the other side so he can continue this offensive pressure. And they do so, and it denies the clear again, and then the sustain happens, and then they get a goal. And it's like, I'm seeing this stuff develop, and I'm talking to my chat about how these things are playing out, and it's just like, it's so awesome to see the level of the minute details of Rocket League really come to fruition. The ability to notice and look at, yo, these little things are what allow the difference between getting a goal and killing the clock and not. And all it is one challenge in the midfield, and that creates the sustain, because teams have gotten so good at rotating and denying boost and applying pressure that you really get to see those small nuances that I've always appreciated as a fan really come to light. So this game, probably one of the better ones, very, very fast paced, but Energy really starts to take over and put their stamp of we're going to win back-to-back majors in this series. It did not look like that lower bracket it really had a chance. You go to the other semifinal between G2 and FaZe Clan, another nail-biter. Both these teams obviously trying to get to the grand final just for proving themselves. Obviously, FaZe Clan really happy that they've qualified now, so they're sitting pretty. But both teams obviously have a lot of pride on the line. G2 and FaZe back and forth again. Ironically enough, FaZe in the semifinal actually finds themselves in the exact same position, but the opposite side of the Shopify situation, where G2 wins 2 in a row instead of FaZe, and then FaZe wins 3 in a row and has 2 matches to close it out, which they can't do. G2 actually battles back and ends up doing it. 2-0 and 3-2. I will say that even though I've been kind of burnt out of Rocket League and watching it, this major definitely had the best competition. You want to talk about gripping matches, exciting matches that go down to the wire, players trying to prove something, young players trying to get that name out there, like Drees trying to earn a spot on G2. You've got Energy still being the Titans that they are. Like, there's a lot of really good things that happen in this major, and every single match just felt like that. You got two best of sevens going the distance. Like, even though it felt like one side of the bracket was definitely weaker, Envy being dropped 4-0 just kind of put a weird feeling on the upper bracket, even though it had Rogue, Space Station, Energy, and Envy in it, and the other side had the Sonics, Shopify Rebellion, FaZe, and G2. All really solid teams. But it was the fact that G2 and FaZe and Shopify really stole the show, and I loved it. And we got a continuation of that in the grand final between Energy and G2. Again, back and forth, really close games. G2 averaging just barely over a goal per game, just not enough against Energy. Their defense, and Justin, again, like I said, stealing the show. Tons of defense, multiple overtimes. It does go to Game 6 OT with a 10-minute overtime, which is technically 8 games of gameplay that we're getting total. 8 and some change, I would say. But yeah, that one ended up coming off. I think it was some pressure on the right side, and then I think it was Squishy possibly that came in, or Garrett came in off the shot to put it away at 10-22. Again, just that pressure. They're just both kind of playing, not, I wouldn't say passive, just smart. Nobody trying to make that risk. Nobody trying to make that mistake. Very different from, like, you look at the Season 8 semifinals, and you got Vitality and Dignitas just taking shots at each other left and right. A little bit different than that, but still high-level gameplay. Still both teams kind of fighting for their opportunities, and a lot of moments where you thought it was going to be over, but it wasn't. So some missed opportunities here and there, but primarily Justin, obviously my MVP. His defense obviously stepping up huge, but everybody, Garrett, Squishy, you name it, everybody playing really well this weekend. You didn't really see any one team just play bad, which was probably my favorite part. Everybody asks me all the time, who's your favorite team? Who do you think is the most likely to win? Who do you root for? All that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. I don't really have a favorite team. I just want good gameplay. And you got that from just about every series. So pretty happy with it. So that wraps it up for the spring major for North America. But we'll take a look at the North American Championship first. And you can see the bracket. This is a page playoff bracket. So Space Station and Rogue are 3-4, while G2 and FaZe Clan are 5-6. Energy and Envy are 1-2, with Energy being 1. So the way that it works is you are wanting Energy to have the highest bid, which is 1. And because of that, in a page playoff format, 1 and 2 get buys all the way to the semifinals, while 3-4, because they are higher above, get an extra life. So the games will start with Space Station Rogue playing a match. Whoever wins that will go to play Envy. Whoever loses that drops down to the lower quarterfinals and will play the winner of G2 and FaZe Clan. When you are in that lower side of the bracket, you no longer have any extra lives. So G2 and FaZe Clan get to play a rematch, which I think is awesome. The fact that we get that like a month later is pretty dope. Winner of that will then play the loser of Space Station Rogue, also single elimination. And then everything semifinals and above is also single elimination. So pretty exciting stuff from there. If we look at the European bracket, you then have Top Lokes versus Guild being the 3-4, with Vitality and BDS being 2-1. And then you have Solary and Queso at 5-6. So Solar Queso play. Winner of that then plays the loser of Top Lokes Guild. Winner of Top Lokes Guilds plays Vitality. And the winner of Solary Queso and the loser of Top Lokes, whoever wins that match, that's really complicated to say, will then go to play BDS. So we'll be a little bit of time until we get to see those. Not exactly a month, but you're looking at least like 2 weeks. So a little bit of downtime between those. Maybe we'll do some fun content around those. Maybe we'll do some simulations to see who ends up winning that. We've also got more of the Lawler land simulations with the bot matches for the semifinals and stuff. Day 5 is going to be coming up sometime this week. A bunch of other crazy stuff, some tier list stuff that I plan on doing and everything else. So if you guys do enjoy the content, as always, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. If you guys want links to anything I'm talking about in the description down below, along with all my social medias, if you want to go give those a like and follow as well. Make sure to check out the Discord where the community is hanging out. There's also a suggesting video section as well. Would love to hear what you guys have to say for future video ideas as well as we start to approach the off season. So I try to be creative, but if I can give you guys exactly what you want, probably a little bit easier on me. Plus, then you guys get the content you desire. So that is going to wrap it up for this video. Again, appreciate all the love and support, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.